What's up, guys? Got a huge day for you. We're doing an official review of the monster mat from Safe Play Golf. First, got to give a shout out to Brent from Safe Play, absolute legend. Thank you for sending us this mat at Indoor Golf Outlet to review. Let's get into it. We got the bad bounce boys. We got Kyle and Austin. Look what we have here. Oh yeah. Here. Oh wow, wow. It's the 5x5. We have the 5x7 and 5x10 at Indoor Golf Outlet, standard sizes. We can also do custom sizes as well as putting turf from Safe Play. So a ton of options here. So Brent at Safe Play, he modeled this mat off the fairways at Pinehurst and Augusta. So we're gonna get into it. These guys are gonna hit some shots. I promise you we're gonna hit some bad shots as well. So we're gonna give you some feedback on how the mat feels under all sorts of hitting conditions. So first impression, no creases on the mat whatsoever. We just rolled it out. There's very minimal folding at all. The mat's super malleable. It needed a little bit straightening out, but it's basically sitting perfectly flush on the ground, which is great. You could unbox it, unwrap it, and throw it in your simulator and you're good to go. I gotta say, it's quite realistic. You can see a little bit of feedback right here on the mat in terms of how the turf is laying down. So this is great because you can see the path of the club opposed to other mats that are super thin in construction. It doesn't give you any feedback at all. This is amazing because you can create a ton of different lies here. So it's not thick enough to the point where you're hitting out of like a first cut, but you could create a thinner lie, you could create a lie that's down grain into the grain. So it's phenomenal in that regard. Kyle, what club you got in your hands?
I got an 8-iron.
Okay. Give us some feedback, first impressions. How realistic does it feel? Give me a scale of 1 to 5 stars.
Compared to grass, I mean, it's like a 4. Other than mud flying off the ground and me making a divot, it feels really good. It's nice and fluffy.
So Brent, the founder of this mat, he calls it LSR, low slide resistance, and it allows you to hit shots, especially when the mat's wet, and it won't spray up that water into your face like you'll get on other mats. I won't name names, but that does happen.
Now, when it comes to range mats, of all the mats I've ever hit off of, this is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, if you grow up in SoCal or any metropolitan area, you start hitting off of mats and you never actually leave. You never ever find grass in your whole life. So what happens is your joints start breaking down. If you are going to hit off a mat, I would choose something like this because it at least gives you some forgiveness.
Hit that one a little behind the ball. You know, normally on mats, when you hit something behind the ball, it bounces off the mat real hard, sends vibrations. This one's almost like cheating. I didn't feel it all that much. It just kind of glided through.
What's your carry on that shot?
I can tell you right now, $130.
$130. So we've got the TrackMan set up here. So we're giving you feedback on all shots that we're hitting. So if we hit them fat, we're going to compare it to our stock yardages.
Oh yeah, the last one, I mean, he was being pretty nice when he said it was hit a little heavy.
Did he hit like a foot behind it?
He hit a lot heavy.
Okay, so it was actually a foot behind the ball.
I hit an 8-iron like when I'm playing.
Kyle here can get a ball up and down out of anywhere. I've literally seen this man get a ball up and down out of a tree before. Okay, so we're gonna have Kyle hit some wedges because I want to hear your feedback on the bounce when you're using the leading edge. Is the ball riding up the face with a wedge? Because if you hit a ball off a normal mat, a thin mat with a wedge, oftentimes it'll just ride up the face, get real spinny on you, float. So I want to see you hit some wedges.
Okay, let's take a look at this. So like 10, 15 balls, brand new mat, like literally nothing.
Nothing.
Comes right off. I don't know, big pet peeve of mine is just junk on the bottom of the club after I'm done hitting.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is leave the range and spend more time cleaning residue off your clubs than you actually spent practicing. So this is fantastic in that regard. Literally no residue here whatsoever.
That was just rage chunked. And really like no resistance. It was nuts. If that was on grass, the club would have stuck in the ground behind me.
So Kyle here tried to dig a hole in this mat, and the only thing I saw come off was this little particle here that just flew away. Speaking of digging holes, this mat is made in the U.S., proudly in Georgia, so you're buying something that's American made. We all love that.
Heck yeah. All right, so I hit it short, so I got to work on my wedge game all the time. When you're working on your wedge game, you want to hit it high, hit it low. What really bothers me the most is when I hit low shots, because I feel like the mats are so hard and it's driving into the ground that it kind of hurts to practice sometimes. But with this mat, no issue.
Look at that.
Like no resistance. It's crazy. If I want to hit a high one and pick it, on most mats when I try and hit a high wedge, see how there's no fluff here?
Right.
It's sitting more realistic on this to grass.
Sure.
When I try and hit a high shot on grass, the ball comes out high. When I'm trying to hit a high ball at the range, because it's spinning more from the mat, the ball comes out low. Let me hit a low one on this mat, and let me hit a low one on the, run-of-the-mill range mat in front of us. Really no noise, no resistance. I feel good, my elbows are fine. So you can tell that the club's like almost bouncing off of this mat because it's firm. And it's not firm because it's old, it's firm because it doesn't have the level of thickness. You see how much thinner this mat is compared to this one.
Right. I want you to focus on the actual height of the turf here. So look at the height of the turf relative to this very small one that's coming undone here. So see how thin this is? This has a ton of padding under it. You've got a ton of texture. Again, you can create so many different lies off this too. Austin, how fast you swing it with the driver?
120.
Okay, so this man right here is a powerhouse. And what I want to test right now is this mat moving at all when Austin's hitting, because he's going to be a perfect case study in terms of testing this mat stability. So let's take a look. So hit this shot for us and let's see if the mat moves at all. Minimal. So minimal movement. Mind you, we're hitting off concrete that's about as slick as Augusta's greens, so you got to take that into consideration too.
I mean, I just like how nice the ball sits up on the turf too.
Perfect, right?
Yeah, you can see. I mean, I can hit like a shot out of the rough if you step on it, basically.
Right.
And you can see what difference the spin is.
Let's see what it does.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, knuckled.
Yeah, cut down spin about 500.
500 RPMs.
And you can definitely feel the difference in spin of the ball coming out. It felt like a flyer.
So it's responsive.
Oh yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe how it came out. It actually, like, literally came out like it was out of the rough.
Beauty. So another super important point about this mat is the tees. So it comes with 2 tee holders, 4 total tee holes. Okay, so if the mat wears out, you can move your position. Nonetheless, you're using a real tee, okay, and you're plugging this into the tee holder so you can adjust the height. On traditional range mats, you're using a rubber tee. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, that rubber tee is typically an awkward height and you're confined to that height throughout the course of your practice, right? So if you want to tee it lower here, you can tee it higher, right? And you can see how easy that is. I'd like to warn you too, if you have mats that take a tee in terms of being able to put it in the mat itself, I'd warn you to be very careful about that, because what you're actually doing is you're puncturing the padding behind the mat itself. So as you start to puncture this, it creates uneven hitting surfaces and you're actually taking away from the forgiveness of the mat itself. Off the dizzle?
Yeah.
Wow. How's your footwork feel on the mat right now? So you're swinging that full out.
Yeah, on it, like a little bit. What I like about this mat compared to like the conventional one we just had is there's kind of some resistance with how long the grass is.
Right.
It's not like your feet kind of sink in like, as they would on real grass.
Feels like a fairway to me.
Yeah, because like I think the conventional mat almost feels like you're standing on concrete a lot of the time.
It's
'cause
slick.
How thin it is,
Yeah.
how slick it is. And this one your feet can you can even see the footprints that are kind of left on the mat just from the feet sinking in.
Right, and you're a pretty big guy too, so you've got a pretty wide stance. You're pretty far away from the ball. This is a 5x5 mat, and it fits you perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I can hit a driver really far to the left and still be on the mat.
Right.
I can kind of aim in different areas and stay on the mat.
Now, if you wanted something bigger, we can offer you a 5x7 and a 5x10 at Indoor Golf Outlet. All right, pretty solid there. Again, no residue, super easy to hit off of. Felt really firm too in my feet. I wasn't feeling any slide whatsoever, which is great. You can actually dig your feet into the mat if you really want to, you know, solidify your lie. Again, I think Austin touched on this, but you can see some footprints here. And I've got on some really tacky spikes, right? So I'm giving this mat hell, and I'm not moving at all. So this is overall phenomenal. So again, big shout out to Brent at Safe Play for sending us some samples of his putting turf and rough boundary. So I'll paint a picture for you guys. Let's say you've got a simulator set up and you're gonna use the monster mat as your hitting mat. You can also install the Safe Play putting turf, okay? So you can do a comparison here on what the color looks like of the putting turf versus the mat itself. And another cool thing that they offer is the rough boundary. So what folks will do is they will put that boundary on the outside of the putting turf, okay? So what you can create is this little environment where you've got the monster mat and then the Safe Play putting turf with rough boundary. You can tell in this rough here that you can create a ton of different lies, and I want you to see how realistic this is. You can even see the brown little rough grains here. I mean, they've spared no expenses in terms of R&D. Brent has told me that they've put roughly 45 years of R&D experience into all their products. They're basically the kings of artificial turf. So if you're gonna install any turf in your simulator setup, this is definitely one of the best options out there for you. So in terms of sizes, we've got the 5x5 here, we have a 5x7 and a 5x10 at Indoor Golf Outlet. We can also install this mat on driving ranges with a full tee setup, okay, so not broken down in individual pieces. So super versatile in terms of customization that we can offer you. Just let us know what you need and we'll get it done. Big thank you to Brent at Safe Play Golf for sending us the monster mat. I also want to give a big thank you to the Bad Bounce boys, Austin and Kyle, for doing this product review with Indoor Golf Outlet. Make sure to check us out at indoorgolfoutlet.com where you can purchase the monster mat in the 5x5, 5x7, and 5x10 along with the putting turf.